Oh, Robert's here.
Yes.
Hi, Robert.
Hi, I'm just going to be watching.
How's everybody doing today?
Fine, thank you.
Very good, thanks. How about you?
Oh, not too bad, not too bad. I just got over bronchitis.
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
no.
We got an echo here. Let me fix that echo. Do we get an echo now?
I don't think I could hear an echo.
Yeah, echo free.
Well, I want to thank everybody for coming. We'll get this show started. This is our 45th volume of this, which we do every other week, which means we've been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
We started this at the beginning of the pandemic, and we're still going strong, I guess.
Congratulations.
Hey.
Yeah. I would not have been upset if it had stopped at 10.
Mhm.
Let's hope there's another
I-
few weeks.
It's actually to animals. There was a lion at the zoo that was infected with COVID from the zookeeper. I think we're gonna have Island of Dr. Morose. It is nice. I'm able to get out a little bit. I've been vaxxed, double vaxxed, and I had COVID over the Thanksgiving holiday. So I guess that it took. At least I got to avoid the family drama because I was all alone. It was a rough week. I spent 3 days in bed. I did not get out of bed. Didn't eat. Barely drank. I kept arguing with my bladder because it kept saying I had to pee, and it lied. Dragged myself all the way out of bed, all the way to the bathroom. And then, of course, you're supposed to drink a lot of water. I don't like water. I just don't like this water. So forcing myself to drink water. Have you ever drank water in the prone position?
No.
I went through a lot of times. Then I remembered my daughter bought bendy straws. Bendy straws are the Lord's work. Woke up, pool of sweat. First thought goes through my mind, I'm gonna have to drink all that water again. It wasn't until about day 4 that I remembered I actually had a penis. It woke me up, said, hey, you up? So we'll fast forward about an hour. Okay, 10 minutes. It had been 4 days. One thing they don't tell you is temporary blindness is a side effect of COVID. I woke up, I could not see. I thought, oh my God, my mother was right about masturbation. Turned out it was just conjunctivitis and caked up my eyes. I could not physically open them. Had to get a pickaxe, get that stuff. It's tough. And yeah, they say that the loss of sense of taste, smell. I did not have that. I was eating bland food and lived next to a paper mill. I would not have minded that. In fact, after I got over it, I was at a show, left, and my sinuses were so clear. And I went into the nice, crisp night, the clear smell of urine.
Mm.
Once again, would not have minded that one. But then on the seventh day, I looked out of my neatly made bed, first time in a week. My clothed and showered body, also first time in a week. I said, all is good. I don't need to rest anymore. But we could have ended this. We could have been done with this. All we had to do was put the vaccine in a little Tide Pod container called the Vax Challenge. We'd be done. And that chip, that's to reduce voter fraud. We're good. We're good. People are just so against masks. And the one thing that I really appreciate about the whole mask wearing is so much fewer resting bitch faces.
Mhm.
There's a few people that go, you need a mask. And for some of those people that don't want to wear masks, here's a couple of pointers for you. If you're going to raid the Capitol, masks are useful. If you're going to talk to a reporter about raiding the Capitol, masks are useful. As a side note, maybe not give them your real name. I mean, these people took selfies with the security guards. One guy had his work number on the back of his jacket. A woman live streamed a video for her real estate company during the raid. They stole things from the Capitol, sold them on eBay under their real names. The day after, they called the lost and found because they left some of their stuff there. This was insurrection at the Capitol. This was America's Got Darwin. I've met this girl, and she said she liked to be choked. Now, think about it. She might have been talking about sex. I had a lump on my arm removed. It was a good size, about the size of a walnut. My girlfriend wanted to see it, so I took a picture of it. And she saw the picture. Oh, neat. Then I showed her the scar. She goes, "Oh, that's gross." Should I be concerned that she's more interested in seeing the inside than the outside? Okay, we're gonna lighten the mood a little bit. Dick jokes.
Nah.
Comedy is filled with dick jokes. But you know what? Not a lot of ball jokes. Balls do not get respect. And they have a legitimate gripe. There they are, hanging out with the guys, and what happens? The girls walk right by them to that tall, skinny prick every time. And does he introduce us to the girl? No, half the time he shoves us aside so he can introduce her to some asshole. And then he has us carry his stuff just so he can randomly leave it in socks around the room, you know? It's tough. So how many people like Disney? Round of applause.
Yes.
Yay.
I don't get Disney. I mean, we eat cookies shaped like Goofy. We eat candies shaped like Daisy Duck. We eat waffles shaped like Mickey. But then they throw me out for eating Minnie. Okay, well, maybe it was the rotisserie and the fava beans. That was either a sex joke or cannibal joke, whichever was funny. But let me end on this one. I had a scratchy throat. So I texted a friend of mine, I'm sucking on some halls. My phone said I was sucking on some balls. I did not know my phone knew me so well. All right, that is fine. We're going to move along to one of the other comments. I lost my computer, so I'm doing this off the tablet, so it's a little more cumbersome. So our next comedian is one I met just recently. Her name is Helene Witt. Let me. Oops.
Thank you. Well, you know where I met you, Geo? We were at a mic and the Hells Angels came in and they crashed the place. I don't know if you remember, and you left. You didn't want to see them bullying this poor little MC. Do you remember that?
I do not.
I'm exaggerating and changing the names to protect the non-innocent. But all of a sudden you left. Anyway, back to me. So my name is Helene Witt, and people say, why don't you enter that celebrity lookalike contest? You could be Barry Manilow in drag. And I brought my friends here with me tonight. You might wonder why I have myself behind me like that, and I'm going to explain why. We go on mics at 3 a.m. to Japan. We go on mics at 6, 7, and then 10 p.m. we're on the mic at California. So by then I'm so tired. I'm in New York, by the way, like you can't tell from my accent. So what I do is I ask the MC if I could go on first, and then he lets me, and then I lay down here on my couch. And then the trouble is, you see how I'm not smiling? So the next comic thinks, wow, I'm bombing. Look at that lady's face. So one time, true story, a friend of Linda and Robert and I was on there too. And all of a sudden I'm sound asleep. And the comic says, somebody's passing gas. And Bruce says, it's worse than that. It's Helaine. She's snoring during your act. So anyway, that's just that. I used to be a school teacher in New York City in a very tough school. I know Robert's mother taught in a tough school too. And you might wonder, how tough was it? These kids didn't just chew their pencils. They swallowed the erasers and washed it down with vodka. Second graders, very tough. And this kid is all excited. He says, teacher, I brought the word of the day and show and tell to school. So I said, wow, look at you. You're always down in the dumps. You're so excited. What's the word? He said, Glock, Glock. Well, he didn't shoot me and he spelled it right. So I put him in 3rd grade and I got him a scholarship to Harvard. He studied neuroscience and basketball. Well, teaching was tough. You know, the principal sat in his ivory tower as if he could have even survived one day. And he says, no matter what goes on in the classroom, make it into a teachable moment. Easy for him to say. So there I am breaking up a fight and I'm 5 feet tall. And this kid goes, he strangled me. Terrible. Stop. This is a teachable moment. He didn't strangle you terrible. He strangled you terribly. You're using your adverbs incorrectly. You know, Geo, the National Honor Society, the leader of the whole honor society at my school was absent on career day. And I didn't know why, but when I got home and I put on America's Most Wanted, guess what? Yes, she was. My class of 87 had their picture up at the post office. You think that's bad? My class of 97 had their picture up at the precinct. I said, that's exactly the same picture. It took them 10 years to make a birdhouse and shop class. How tough are these kids? They're very tough. And they have this new thing. It's not new anymore, the participation trophies. And I'm telling you, I wish I had one of those on my honeymoon. In fact, both my honeymoons, because I was married twice. They participated, but very little was accomplished. I started to date a guy. Well, my first husband was Jewish and my second husband was Chinese. And people say, what's the difference? You know, you're crossing cultures, blah, blah, blah. I said, no difference. They're both very frugal and they drive terribly. Was that politically incorrect, Linda? Well, I bet. Take it off of Facebook permanently. You missed my politically incorrect joke, Geo. Anyway, back to me. So after I was divorced twice, I was dating this guy from Brooklyn. I met him through a blind date. Now, maybe you've never been to Brooklyn. There are a lot of apartment buildings. So he takes me up to his apartment upstairs, one flight. He's taking the elevator. And then he shows me a singles ad. I said, why are you showing me a singles ad when I met you on a blind date? That's rude in your apartment. And then he takes the elevator, he puts on his knapsack, you know, a book bag, takes the elevator down one flight again to the lobby. What do you mean you wrote on your singles ad, loves long hikes? You're not hiking, you're walking down at one, taking the elevator down one flight of stairs. Anyway, I met another guy from Brooklyn that lives in New York, Brooklyn, and he wrote, now him I met on in a singles ad, he wrote, loves romantic horse and buggy rides. What do you mean? You're not Amish. You live in Sheepshead Bay, Brooklyn. That's where Larry David's from, by the way. So I'm telling you, these guys you meet, it's really something, but maybe it has to do with me too. I'm getting older, I don't lie. I'm 72 years old. Yay. 3 years ago, Linda and I had a birthday party for me in Philadelphia, right, Linda?
I did.
And I blew out my candles and I made my wish and I closed my eyes and I wished for 69. That's what I wished for 3 years ago in Philadelphia. We were at Temple University where Bill Cosby went. We were outside though. We got locked out for our comedy show. The place was closed by the time we got from New York to Philly. It was closed, but that isn't part of the joke. So back to me. I'm getting older, you know, and it doesn't bother me, except I'm staring at myself on Zoom all the time. And I see I have pound signs here. I have parentheses here. I have exclamation points here. I'll just lay down. You can send a text message on me. I'll lay down and start to snore. Wow, someone's laughing. I'll have to invite them to my next show. Not JL. JL's muted. But anyway, I have jokes about getting older, like I'm losing my hair, but I know where it's going. It's going to my knuckles. And we have this thing, Blaine, I don't know if you know this because you're young and youthful and male, but women get these varicose veins on their legs. Well, I changed the name of mine. They're like rainbows on your legs. Linda, tell him how much he's missing out on having rainbows on his legs. Anyway, I changed the name of mine. I call them the Google Roadmap to Adventure. One of the roads takes you to the Sterling Forest, and the other road takes you to the Dead Sea. I mean, you young girls, like Linda, you do the Brazilian and all. The last time I had a Brazilian was when I lived near the Belmont racetrack, and this jockey, well, you know where he was from. I'm telling you. Thought of that when I was buying some Brazilian nuts to eat. But that's my secret of where I wrote that joke. But anyway, I do not mind getting older. You know, when we were young, Geo, we used to sing our birthday song, Are You 1? Are you 2? Are you 3? You know what my friends and I do? Lumbar 1, L2, L3. Wow, I got David Parsons to laugh. That's great. That's good. Anyway, I'm talking about David. You know, I used to love the Beatles, and I went to England in the summer of '68, and I stood outside Abbey Road for what would have been the rest of my life. And I have some really cool pictures, John singing to me and things like that, like were amazing. But I have a doctor who takes care of my elderly bones. Not that I mind getting older. And he's in New York, and he's like the biggest endocrinologist in all of Long Island where we live. And he's very arrogant, and he sees my Ringo t-shirt and he says, that concert last night stunk. So I said, doctor, you're an expert on bones. You help me walk. But when it comes to the Beatles, is it possible maybe someone else liked the concert? Are you an expert on Ringo's concert stunk? Maybe I liked it. He says, you know, I went to see Paul. I mean, he was just so arrogant about the Beatles too. So I said, doctor, I don't usually brag, but I'm showing you this picture of John singing to me on the steps of Abbey Road. And I swear to God, this is the truth. You know what he said? You bring John Lennon into this office, then I'll be impressed. I said, yeah, on a yellow submarine, you arrogant bastard. So I called Dr. Slander. His name's Dr. Wieneman. He said, I want to come to your show. I said, Dr. Wieneman, I'm changing your name to Dr. Slander. He's gonna sue me for saying your name and this joke because it's a true story. Hi there, Ann. Hi, Ann. Well, anyway, I have some other things to tell you too because Geo said I can. I went to Woodstock 50 years ago, and then I went to Woodstock when they had another one, but it was like a fake Woodstock. And at the first Woodstock, you walk through the mud because the freeway was closed. A famous part of the movie, Arlo Guthrie said, the freeway is closed, man, and people got out of their cars and walked through the mud. Well, this time, the freeway was closed again. But this time, we had to walk in our bell bottoms, press the button in our vans, take down the walkers, and walk through the mud with our bell bottoms, and we were tripping, but it was the other kind of tripping. Wow, I feel like I'm in an Apollo spacecraft, Ann and Geo and Blaine. Anyone who's, and Linda, it sounds like a spacecraft. Anyway, back to me. So at Woodstock, it was crazy because there was a tent at the first Woodstock for bad acid trips. Let me explain, Ann. Acid was a psychedelic drug in the 60s. This time, the tent was for bad acid indigestion. Things change at Woodstock. And then Bob Dylan. I mean, I heard Blowing in the Wind and the curtain comes up and I hear the band. I see the band, but I don't see Bob Dylan. I see a woman with a big hat. She looked like my Aunt Esther B. Greenbaum, long gray hair, and she's playing the organ. I said, where's Bob Dylan? I hear him singing. The song was almost over, Geo. And sure enough, that was Bob Dylan. It wasn't my Aunt Esther B. Greenbaum. He now plays the organ because he has arthritis. I'm telling you, Paul McCartney sang Maybe I'm Amazed at both shows 50 years later. I said, Paul, maybe I'm amazed. I could barely get down the steps of my garden apartment. Well, I think I'm going to end now, not because I'm done, but I think I want to give other people a turn. Thank you for having me.
Yes.
You're very welcome.
Yay.
Hey, thanks, everybody. So one thing is that if you are having a good time, please join our Facebook group or Instagram. Also, tell your friends. We'd love to have bigger audiences. Nothing better than having audiences. I mean, you know, that's the drug of choice. You know, we're addicted to those laughs. We need those laughs. Give us those laughs, damn it. But also, we have comedians here who've been doing this for a long time. The last 2 years have been very, very rough, even though things are opening up. Sometimes they're closing up, and it's still hard to get gigs. And you got people who try to make a living doing comedy. So if you're having a good time and you want to let them know how much you appreciate it, we have set up 2 donation sites, PayPal. It's paypal.me/BD comedy, or Cash App. It's $ button down comedy. All that money will go to the comedian. So if you feel like it, please send $1 or $2. You know, just any amount will really be appreciated. All right, our next comedian is a gentleman that I've met in person in Asheville, North Carolina. He's a very funny man, one of my favorites, and he is. I think this is this your second time doing the virtual?
Yeah. I did it right when it started.
All right, so let's hear it for Blaine Perry. Look at the right.
Hey, everybody.
Hang on a second, I haven't spotlit yet. I don't see the option. Is your video on?
Should I just go?
Oh, hang on a second. Me?
Did you say you lost your computer, George?
Oh, it died. There we go.
Sure.
There we go. All right. There we go.
You ready?
Blaine Perry. Let's give it up for Blaine.
Thank you. Thank you. Please. God, yeah, thank you. No. I just trying to be safe here at home in my dungeon. Dungeon room. My man cave. A little damp, but I am safe with my mask. My mask on. I decided I'm going to do, with every joke, I'm going to transition a little bit and try a new filter. So start with pride. And I haven't organized this in any way, so I don't know if these will actually align with the jokes. But let's see. My name is it's Blaine. My parents named me that because they were like, we want this kid to be very weak when he grows up. We don't want him to be able to lift more than 40 pounds. I think it was a good choice. My wife, there's this rumor that she's Jewish in her family. And I thought that was kind of cool. So she took a DNA test and she gets the results back and she's not Jewish at all. It's a total rumor. So I was like, hell, I'll take a DNA test. That sounds fun. I get the results back. I'm 10% Jewish. This is news to me. I've never heard of this before. No one's ever mentioned this in my family. And the weird part is this whole time I think I'm married to this beautiful Jewish woman. It turns out she's just a filthy shiksa. It's disgusting. Oh, there we go. This is appropriate. I have a baby. Does anyone else have a baby? No? It's fun having a kid. They do grow up. They grow up really fast. He's like 10 months old. I look back from pictures, even just like a month ago, and he has so many more tattoos now than he used to. He's really good growing up. I like to do this thing where whenever he likes to kind of like pretend like he's running away from us. He's crawling away, and I pretend that like I'm a cop, and I'll be like, I need an APB on a baby, presumed to be cute, perhaps has a dirty diaper, may have up to 2 pounds of cocaine in his system, may have shot and killed 2 uniformed police officers. It just kind of keeps getting like darker and darker, but he loves it. He thinks it's a really fun game. This is the reaction you should be having to these jokes. These are great jokes. These are great jokes. Spent years fine tuning every little nuance, every comma. Everything in here is exactly where it's supposed to be. I have what else I want to say about this baby thing I want to say. When my wife was pregnant, everyone would always be like, if you have a neighbor who's very religious, and he'd always be like, I'll pray for you. It's like, I'm not religious, and the way I hear that is I've just burdened someone, with their prayer list. He says like, I'll put you on my prayer list. And I just hear it like, great, another fucking thing on my prayer list that I got to pray for. I got this list. It's like 45 things on here. Now I got to pray for this fucking baby. Can I say the F word? I know you're recording this.
Okay, yeah.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
It's going to go on Disney Plus.
No.
Okay. But then like, I more than anything, I just want to know where I am on that prayer list, because if I'm below learn power chords or something trivial like that, I'm gonna be pretty pissed. Here we go. Have you ever made the mistake of watching one Hitler documentary on Netflix, and then Netflix is like, all right, you're the Hitler guy now. It's just gonna be all Hitler stuff. I thought I told you that. I thought that was just between you and me, Netflix. I want to watch every time. And the worst is like when you have friends over and you're like, let's play something on Netflix, and you turn on the welcome screen. It's just like a wall of swastikas. Come on, Netflix. I'm more than just that. I also like Korean porn. It's more than just Hitler stuff. We're all emerging from this pandemic situation, right? We're all sort of, I guess then we had to kind of go into lockdown. There, one of those lulls, I went to like a friend's house, and we were outside, we were being safe, and I had to use a bathroom. So I was like, can I use a bathroom? And I forgot that even in non-pandemic times, people panic explaining where the bathroom is in their house. Like, they want to make sure they get it right. They're like, bathroom. Okay, all right, here's what you're going to do. You're going to go down the hallway, right? And then it's going to be the second door to the left. And it's like, I know how bathrooms work and houses work and hallways work. Yeah, I'm not going to shit in your bedroom. Like, I'm gonna go to the one that has the toilet in it, and that's what I'll use. I'm not gonna come back and be like, you said second door. I'm a guest. I just saw a bunch of blankets in the corner, and I thought maybe that's how you do it in the bus. I went to Japan once, right before the pandemic. My wife and I went, and it's a different experience in Japan. One of the things is they pee sitting down. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. They pee sitting down, which was, took some adjustment and everything. And also for my wife, because she shits standing up, so it was kind of like for her too, learning curve. I think enough time has gone by that I can admit. I always thought it was Kirby Bryant. Anyway, moving on. Does anyone have like an office job, like a regular office job? I don't know. Helene, what do you do now? Do you still teach?
No, I'm retired. I'm old, but I see your name rhymes with mine, but you called me Helaine. I should call you Blaine.
Yeah. Sorry, I called you Helene.
No, I
And that's
like
not-
Blaine. It's like a nickname, but that's not my name. But I'm too old to teach.
Oh, you're never too old to teach.
Yeah.
but you say
Put it this way, if you could make as much staying home, what would you do?
I wouldn't be teaching, those kids at all. Let them figure it out on their own. That's what the streets are for.
Ha ha ha.
Now this is I guess crowd work, but I don't know if it counts. Where do you live in New York? Do you live in Manhattan?
No, you heard of Shea Stadium or Citi Field or the tennis place? I kind of live near there, or the home of the epicenter of COVID. I
You're in
live near
Flushing?
there. Yes, near Belmont Racetrack, but yes, Flushing.
See, I lived in Brooklyn for 15 years, so
Oh,
and, didn't teach any kids. Almost became a teacher, and decided be a software engineer instead. And then I was like, you know what? Next step, Zoom comedy. In a weird trajectory, but I think I made the right choice. Oh wait, I was supposed to be doing this. So I totally dropped the ball here. How much, George? You gave us instructions. Do we get a light, or what's the deal again?
Yeah, in chat, I'll send you a private message.
Oh,
It'll appear on
okay.
your screen.
Sorry to break the fourth wall, everyone. That's a little industry talk. The light. If you're not in the industry. I have an office job. It's like I sit down, work at a desk, 9 to 5 and everything. And people where I live now in Asheville, North Carolina, nobody has like an office job, and they don't get it, like the small talk and everything you have to do. Like, does anyone here have an office job or ever had an office job? Yeah, you're a lawyer, right? I think I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I don't know if you have the same thing. Like, I feel like I think I might be partially on the spectrum enough where like, I don't really know how to make small talk all the time with people. It doesn't make me super comfortable. And you always have to come in, especially like on a Monday, and everyone's like, how's your weekend? What'd you do? And I'm just like, I don't know, we went for a hike. And I never go for a hike, but I just say that because you just got to say something, right?
Mhm.
And I wish I could tell people like the real thing that I did, like, how's your weekend? I'll be like, weekend. My wife and I, we tried mutual masturbation for the first time. Have you ever done that? Where, you're together, and it's like you're distant, but you're physically close. It's very enigmatic. But I don't say that. I'm just like, we went for a hike. They always like, I have this problem where like people will ask me like, what did you do over the weekend? And I don't realize that they want me to ask them what was going on their weekend. And I'm not like smart enough or tuned in enough to like catch that. So I just like, I just don't say anything. And then they just start talking about their weekend, and I just kind of tune out for a little bit. And then I kind of like rush back into reality whenever they ask me a question too, about like they're going on and on and on. And then they're like, have you ever been there? And I'm like, I got an answer. And I'm like, no, no. Is it nice? And they're like, you've never been to Costco? Um, nope, never heard of it. There's this is a thing now. I'm getting old enough where I don't feel like I'm tapped into what is appropriate anymore at work. Like I'm always afraid I'm going to get canceled. And I'm afraid there's going to be words that are just like normal words that now you can't say, like I'll be at work and I'll be like, someone was like going on and on something. I was like, hey, we don't need a bunch of rigmarole here. And then I was like, oh shit, can I say that? Is that a word I can say?
Ooh.
Is that acceptable? I hope that didn't cut out of there. I said rigmarole. I don't know if that's like Zoom. So we just had Christmas. Did anybody celebrate? I haven't done comedy since like around Christmas, so now I have these Christmas jokes. And one of them is there's a lot of songs that are either explicitly or covertly about fucking Santa Claus. Have you noticed that? A lot of them like come down my chimney, and that's about straight vaginal sex. It's not about chimneys at all. There's like in where we are in Western North Carolina, there's a lot of like to watch the local news around Christmas time. And there's a lot of like local commercials where like some guy made it and he's very stilted, and he'll just be like, in this season of giving, we must remember that Jesus Christ died for our sins. Aston Family Heating and Cooling Company. Like, what does that have to do with the whole like heating and cooling? I feel like all they're really saying is like, hey, you don't want one of those Jewy heating and cooling companies, right? You can trust us. Because it's Western North Carolina. They got to say it without saying it. There's a lot of like people have different accents in the South, but they never quite get it right on TV. They always have like people on TV. They'll talk like they're in Gone with the Wind or something, and it never like makes sense to me. Like, you ever watch that show House of Cards with Kevin Spacey? May he rest in peace. You know what I'm talking about? And he has this like accent where it's just like he'll always say these weird phrases. He'll be like, "The sweeter the peach, the more rotten the core." You're like, that's not how people in the South. People in the South haven't talked like that in like 3 generations. I don't know why they speak that way. It's just really now it's just like, that's how like people talk. That's how they sound. Like I like to go to Walmart and just like sit around and just watch 2 rednecks and a hillbilly go at it and everything, and just listen to the accents, and it's fun. This is I messed that joke up, but whatever, it doesn't even matter. What do you do with these recordings?
YouTube.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Great. There's a lot of did I consent to that? I don't think I consented to that. There's a lot of people in the like when I moved here from New York, people were like, you're gonna move to the South? I hear there are guns there, they'll shoot you. And then I moved here and they're like, you moved from New York, I hear there are guns there, they'll shoot you. I'm like, people relax, this is America, eventually you're gonna get shot. It doesn't matter where you live, in the North or the South. Let's see. That was great. That's a good one. Let's see. I like to travel around, drive around. My wife and I will drive around different places throughout this great United States of ours. And I like when you like enter a new state, there's always like a nickname, like whenever you enter into the state, like the nickname about the state that you weren't aware of. And sometimes it's like really strange, like a new nickname, to be like, welcome to the pasta state. And you're like, all right, that's weird. I got to research that. But sometimes I can't help but think it's like a subtle fuck you to the state you just left. Like they'll be like, welcome to Florida, where we wash our hands before we eat. Welcome to South Carolina, where dog fighting has been outlawed. Welcome to Tennessee, where interracial marriage is legal. Like basically anytime you leave Alabama, that's just one of the things that you'll see there. Even when you get to Mississippi, they're like, welcome to Mississippi. Thank Christ you're not in Alabama anymore. It's literally what it says there. Well, be all the fun we have. Did people vote in an election? Ever? I'm still like annoyed about the 2016 election because like I think Hillary didn't get a very good rap. Like I don't even care if you liked her or didn't like her. It was just kind of like unfair because like they touted Trump as this like great brilliant businessman. He did all this great business stuff, but they didn't give Hillary any credit for her as a businesswoman. If you think about it, she ran an entire international child sex slavery ring and a pizza shop on top of that. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of business acumen. I mean, you're up all night with the kids, and that's hard. And then you got to get up in the morning and make the dough. I mean, I don't know. They should have just given her more credit. That's what I think. Well, I think that might be about it. I think
Okay.
that's it.
All right. Let's
Appreciate
give
your
a
time.
round of applause to Blaine. Appreciate it. Now, is it just me or does everybody else wonder if he really works in an office? Because this is not how you type.
No wonder I'm not getting such bad performance reviews.
Yeah, your autocorrect better be real good if you're gonna type like that. Appreciate Blaine. I always like Blaine's stuff. He's got some very good insights. Always makes me laugh. Our next comedian I met also on Zoom Comedy. He has run several shows. You still running the one show? It was Friday nights.
No, we haven't done that for a while. I'm mainly doing live stuff at the moment.
Well, I didn't know Zoom was dead.
It's not. I mean, look at this audience. This fantastic audience. It's not dead.
Well, apparently you are if you're doing it because it's not live comedy.
Hey, I can't say no to you, Geo.
But let's please give a big round of applause to a very funny man, David Parsons.
Well, thank you, Geo. Happy to be here for number 45. I think I was about number 22 at some point, or even in the teens. So it's been a while, but you've been doing this forever. Always put on a good show. Thanks for inviting me. So if you pick up on a little bit of a trace of an accent, you're right. I'm originally from England, although I've lived in Texas for 20 years. I consider myself an English Texan. I wear cowboy hats and bowler hats. I wear cowboy boots and Wellington boots. I ride horses and the 1966 World Cup victory over Germany way harder than it warrants. So I try and do some things to sort of celebrate my English heritage and make sure that I don't forget where I'm from. I drink a lot of tea, preferably Darjeeling, made in a pot. Put the milk in first, the sugar in second, and step away from the microwave, you savage. I constantly apologize when people bump into me. That's a very English thing. And I like driving on the left. So, if you see me coming, get out of the way. Because, you may have invented the motor car, but we invented the roads. So it's kind of our deal. So I recently got back from a Christmas trip to England to see my family. It was a shame, really. a great reunion almost ruined by a deadly plague on humanity that probes for your weaknesses and can leave you with lingering effects that last for years. But enough about my sister. We didn't manage to catch COVID. Yeah. So I was feeling pretty good though. I'd got my booster shot before we went. Although in England we spell that Boocestershire, in case you wondered. But it amazes me. England is pretty well vaccinated. But in Texas, not great. We're sitting, I looked it up, we're sitting about 62% fully vaccinated, and about 22% of people who got one shot didn't go back for another dose, which is a total shock to me because it's so unlike Americans to refuse a second helping of anything. But it's just, we got to work at this. I'm really gratified to see that the American government is getting on board with testing and is sending free tests, at-home tests to every American who asks for one. But we need to up our game a little bit. I went over to England, and you need a test. You go ask the NHS, and they'll give you a box of 7. Go away, and then you can come back and get more anytime you need them because they want you to test. Here, you can get 4 tests for a family. 1 per address. And some people have been trying like a do-it-yourself way to get around this problem by, and I shit you not, using the same test for everybody in a family. Yeah, you take the swab, you run it around mom, run it around dad, run it around the kids, test it. If you're all negative, hey, that's great. And people wonder why the human race is on the verge of extinction sometimes. That's just Darwinism in action there. Because the family that swabs together probably goes to the infirmary together. Don't do it. Just don't. So, yeah. So I spent some time this Christmas with my sister. We are 2 years apart in age. I'm 50 this year. She's 48 this year. We've been at each other's throats since we were about 2 and just born. Although that may have just been me at the time. I was observed carrying her to the bathroom when she was a little baby and I was a toddler. And my mom asked me where I was going, and I said I was going to flush her down the toilet with the rest of the crap. And basically, our relationship has gone on from there. And she's got some interesting habits. She breeds cats. Not personally, but she keeps cats for breeding purposes. And I've got a couple of nieces that are adorable. They're 6 and 4, but she's had cats longer than she's had the girls. And when I used to ask how her fur babies were going, she would always ask how my skin kitten was doing. And I'm like, don't say that, please. That's horrifying. But it's just I don't enjoy going to her house because lots of cats. She can have anywhere between she got like a baseline of 7 cats, but she can have up to 20 at one point. And the smell of cat shit is just overwhelming. And also, the whole thing about keeping animals, and we always sort of like romanticize our relationship to animals as parent and child. I know I do with my beloved cats, but she pimps hers out on a regular basis. She'll send them to a male cat to get basically railed for a week in the hope that she'll get knocked up. And I'm hoping that she doesn't raise her skin kittens like this, because that is that's medieval, frankly. But the saving grace of my relationship with my sister, I have to give it up to Airbnb, because I no longer have to sleep in a house that smells of cat shit. I can leave. I recommend it heartily. All right. So as well as being English, I'm also 6'8" tall. You can't tell that on Zoom, so this joke doesn't land as well as when I do it in person. But generally, the first thing that people notice about me is my height. I'm fat also, but I way prefer to focus on the metric that doesn't cause diabetes, heart disease, general social disapproval, crushed lawn chairs, scared looks when I head to the buffet line, desperation if I move to the middle seat on an airplane, or questions from small children about whether I have a baby in my tummy. And I thought I gained a little weight during the pandemic, and I went to see my doctor the other day, and apparently I've gone from morbidly obese to, holy crap, how do you still have a pulse? And to drive the message home, he showed me where I was on the body mass index chart. And I left feeling really sad because I've no idea how I'm going to gain 3 feet in height. But I'll be working on that. I'll get the rack out, maybe. So originally being from England, sometimes I make love Paul Revere style. Yes, that's right. I ride hard all night and then I yell, the British are coming. Of course, I'm just kidding. I'm a happily married man with an 11-year-old daughter. Best contraceptive ever. And my love life, shall we say, isn't as it once was. I'm not going to say my wife's sex drive's low, but I don't know what was colder, the winter storm that hit us this week, or the look on her face the other night when I gently touched her butt as she was brushing her teeth. We don't do foreplay in my house. We do chore play. My best, if not only route to a good time in the bedroom is an empty dishwasher. And we don't Netflix and chill. We Disney Plus and guilt trip. So we thought we'd try a little role play to spice things up. We considered nurse and patient, lawyer and client, but eventually went with something really kinky. Childless couple who doesn't get their calendars out to schedule sex. It's going to be amazing. We've got it penciled in for March 2nd. But I don't want you to think that the romance is completely gone in my relationship. I brought my wife the best birthday present of a mug that says, I love you more than bacon. Because sometimes it's the little lies that keep the marriage strong. Yeah. Anybody here who's Jewish? Anybody here? Hey, all right. Well, so I had a really cool experience the other day. I went to my first bar mitzvah. A friend of my daughter's became a man. And it struck me as I was sitting there enjoying the party that it was just like a wedding reception, except for a 13-year-old boy. The wedding night will be a little different, though. Just the man of the hour in his right hand. Not completely different. It's probably not their first time either. But I hopefully there'll be no problems getting it up due to too much time at the open bar. And absolutely no chance of a little surprise 9 months later. And you know this one won't end badly if one of them gets fat. So I thought it was pretty good, all things considered. This may be a southern US thing. I don't know whether you get this anywhere else, but you often see people driving around in cars with bumper stickers with Bible verses on them. Anybody see that? It drives me nuts. It'll be like, John 3:16. And if you look this up, it reads, for God so loved the world that he gave his one and only son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but will have eternal life. It's shorthand evangelism. It's great. If you don't know it, you look it up and you've been treated to a cool thought. So I've been toying with the idea of using this to screw with people and producing Bible verse stickers of more obscure passages. And I've got a few candidates lined up. Leviticus 26:29. You shall eat the flesh of your children. Kind of like that one. Ezekiel 23:20. There she lusted after her lovers, whose genitals were like those of donkeys and whose emission was like that of horses. Or my personal favorite, Deuteronomy 25:11. If men get into a fight with one another and the wife of one intervenes to rescue her husband by reaching out and grabbing his opponent's testicles, you shall cut off her hand. So I think I'm going to get those out there in circulation. Should be kind of fun. Any sort of 90s babies here? Anybody sort of grew up during the 90s? No, I think I'm not pitching this quite right. But y'all know, the famous Nirvana album cover with the baby swimming. So the dude who's on that cover, Spencer Eldon, recently got his lawsuit dismissed that he filed against the band, claiming that they disseminated child pornography of him without his consent. And I'm, although he lost his case, I'm still impressed with that guy, because 30 years on, he's still chasing that dollar. Yeah, if you visualize the album cover, it's got Baby, but yeah, you kind of, I probably should save this one for when there's some 90s folk in the room. But that did remind me of that cool internet craze that was going around a little while back of taking childhood pictures that you recreate when you're an adult. And I thought it looked kind of cool, so I thought I'd get it for my dad for a Christmas present. And I learned a few things about myself during this process. Apparently, I no longer look precious in a little sailor suit. No matter how hard I try, I can't fit my ass in the kitchen sink for a bath anymore. And apparently, it's absolutely not adorable when I go to the beach and take a shit in a bucket. So I think I'll be looking for something else as a gift. So yeah, like I said, I got an 11-year-old kid. Sarah was what you might call a surprise baby. I've been told by my wife many times not to use the word accident. We found out she was on her way just before her first anniversary, our first anniversary. The first anniversary gift is supposed to be paper, not Pampers. It was like, congratulations, it's a fetus. And now we were using birth control at this point in time that's 99% effective. I always wanted to be a member of the 1%, but that wasn't quite what I had in mind. But it's kind of cool. Instead of a birth certificate, we have an apology note from the makers of the NuvaRing. So that's nice. And many people describe the birth of a child as a time of great joy. But looking back, I felt mostly terror. When Sarah was handed to me, I went into full panic mode. With a baby, there's no test drive. There's no return period. There's no warranty. You birthed it, you bought it. And, it always sort of hits me at this time of year because we brought Sarah home on Christmas Eve. Worst present ever, I got to confess. It didn't come with an instruction manual. It didn't come with a sleep mode, and didn't come with an off switch. And we absolutely did not have a silent night, I can assure you of that. But Sarah inherited her mother's good looks and her father's wit and sense of humor, which is, to be honest, precisely the right way around to have it. I did a stand-up set for her school auction last year on Zoom, and I thought it would be fun if I got her to introduce me and crack a joke at my expense. I asked her what she could say about me that was slightly mean and yet funny, and she says, well, you're very fat. And I'm like, well, kid, maybe you want to go a little bit less on the nose and just gently roast me. And she's like, roast you? There's no way I can fit you into the oven no matter how hard I push. So we went with that. It was great. It was an absolute hit. And yeah, I drove past one of those signs in front of a house the other day, drive like your kid lives there. And, I want to be a good neighbor. So I rolled down the window and yelled, Shirley, they're my kids too. I don't care what the judge says. But yeah, you know what? If somebody were to drive past my house, they'd be pretty safe unless they careened onto the lawn, through the front door, traveled all the way back to the house and hit the couch where my kid is permanently planted, watching YouTube on her iPad. Her favorite thing to do on that iPad is to watch videos of kids playing video games. I don't get that. I mean, when I was a kid, I got in enough trouble from my parents for playing video games, but at least my thumbs got some exercise. Here she's just watching kids playing video games. And I'm wondering where this is all leading. I mean, are we going to have at some point kids watching videos of kids watching videos of kids playing video games? I mean, it's like living vicariously. And, they don't get how to use like regular things. Like my child, we were at my aunt's house, and they don't have any like fancy Netflix streaming. They actually just have an antenna and get like the basic channels. And she was like, where do I find my shows? I'm like, you wait and see if they come around. And she's like, no, that's not how TV works. I'm like, yeah, kid, sometimes it is. And you just think yourself lucky you didn't grow up during the days of getting a video from Blockbuster and having to spend 15 minutes rewinding it because the last asshole didn't. So we've come a long way since then. Wouldn't go back for it. Wouldn't go back at all. Anyway, my kid has just entered the preteen years. And I have to say, it's sometimes like living with a bipolar person. 1 minute, it's all, I love you, Daddy. Will you read me a story like you used to? But then the next minute, I'm ruining her life because I won't let her get a TikTok or wear makeup to school or buy her an iPhone. So I don't know. I'm going to sort of try and insulate myself from the worst excesses of the teenage years until she becomes a normal person again at 20 or whatever, how long it takes. Actually, I think I might have taken a few years longer than that. Okay. So I had occasion to go to like parent-teacher conference the other day, and she switched schools last year, and I haven't met all of her friends yet or all of their parents. And I had the opportunity to meet the parents of a friend of hers in her class, whose name is Legend. Why would you do that to your child? Why would you give your kid a name they can't possibly live up to? I just don't understand it. And it's not just Legend. I mean, I met a Destiny. That's a bit, excessive. I met an Angel. I met a Chastity. That one, it's just like, I'm not fucking with that. That wouldn't work. You're just setting yourself up for failure. And, I think parents' first most basic responsibility is to give their kid a name that's not going to bite them in the ass later. My friend Miles was in the Navy, and he served in training camp with a gentleman named Jonathan Samples, or to give him his full rank, Seaman Samples. And, if your name is Samples and you have a call in for military service, please join the Air Force, because nobody needs to hear that. One of the guys I work with has a very sort of old Southern name. His name's Van Hooker. Now, that's pretty cool. It's also a major coincidence because that was my ex-wife's nickname in college. So that's nice. I think we should give kids names for realistic expectations they might be able to live up to. If you are a party girl and you want your daughter to follow in your footsteps, how about Molly? If you've got a budding MAGA supporter and you want to raise them right, how about Dick? Or if you've ever met a preschooler, how about Lucifer? That might work. By the way, my mother-in-law used to work with a guy named Dick Handler. I don't get that. You got the name Richard, your last name's Handler, and you go by Dick. Anyway, it worked out fine for him. Apparently, he now works for the Transportation Safety Administration, and he loves his job. So, you are what you do, I guess. All right. So I think I might be turning into a bit of an asshole because I've started to hate my pet cat. Now, bear with me, but don't dismiss me just yet. We've had Max since he was a kitten, but he's 19 now, which is like 95 in cat years. And sometimes it's like living with an alcoholic roommate. He can't see very well and crashes into walls. His aim is not so good when he misses the litter box. And he's always late with his share of the fucking rent. Other times it's like bunking up in jail with a 6 foot, 400-pound biker. He's gay for the stay. I'm his bitch. My head is the top bunk, and he's going to sleep where he wants. And other times it's like living with a mafia enforcer. Say, David, I'll make you an offer you can't refuse. You fill my food bowl right now, and I won't chew on anything you care about. Say, Buster, that's a real nice duvet you've got there. Wouldn't it be a shame if someone shat on it? Anyway, we took Max to the vets the other day, and we got some blood work around, and when we got the results back, I'm not ashamed to say I sat down and I cried a little bit. There's nothing wrong with a little shit, and he'll probably live another 3 or 4 years. So it's gonna be fun. Oh yeah. So what do we got? Okay, I got a slightly unusual hobby. I always love sharing this because people don't expect it. I like to do embroidery, cross stitch to be specific. Do all kinds of stuff, but it's not like you might imagine. You know, when you think of cross stitch, you probably picture a kindly old lady stitching chintzy crap for her granddaughter's nursery. But I do like modern subversive cross stitch. I got a piece that sits on my desk at work that has a picture of 2 pigeons framing the words, "I will shit on everything you love." That one was good.
What?
I crafted one for Brianna, my foul-mouthed co-worker, with a lovely border of forget-me-nots and the phrase, "I do not spew profanities. I enunciate them clearly like a fucking lady." In our bathroom at home sits a gorgeous floral piece that instructs guests don't do coke in the bathroom. As an aside, please don't do coke in the bathroom. The cat might get into it, and we have enough trouble with him as it is. And my latest masterpiece has a symmetrical blue border and the ageless motto, "Tell someone you love them today because life is short, but scream it at them in German because life is also confusing and terrifying." Ich liebe dich! Ich liebe dich! Oh, so I went on a family vacation to Colorado recently with my wife and kid. Being the mature, sensible adult that I am, my first stop, of course, was the nearest dispensary. It's not legal in Texas. In every graying middle-aged lawyer, there's a Snoop Dogg just waiting to get out. I can tell you that. Well, to cut a long story short, one ill-timed Maui Wowie infused caramel later, my kid got to meet for the very first time, "Hi, Dad." I think she kind of liked him. My wife, not so much. "Why is Daddy acting so silly?" Well, I don't know whether Sarah believed Lindsay's explanation that I was suffering from altitude sickness, or whether she believed me that I was just happy to be with my 2 favorite girls. But she seemed satisfied by the explanation. Anyway, I thought it would go fine because she'd already met amusingly drunk Dad, 1 double espresso too many Dad, and ambient sleepwalk Dad, and she liked all of those. But I think I might leave it a little while before I introduce her to abuse his fad diets because he kind of likes a starvation high Dad. Pulls an all-nighter thanks to borrowing one of her Adderalls Dad. Or thinks she's a talking armadillo because of the shrooms Dad. I'll take it one step at a time. So I hate to get political. I really do. But I am so sick of the Republican, Democrat, everybody sucks. We've got nothing getting done. We're no closer to being moving forward as a society. And I think we deserve better. And I have a radical solution for you. I think we need to hit up Meghan Markle to run for president of the United States. I mean, just think about it. If she got in, we'd have a duchess in the White House, and the first gentleman would be a prince. Talk about classing up that joint. Or, and this is an idea I've had, we could go the whole way and rip up the Declaration of Independence and ask Her Majesty the Queen if she'd be willing to take us back. I mean, now that sounds a little radical, but think about it. Both countries get a little something out of that deal. England gets an economic upgrade over the European Union, and the United States gets a universally respected head of state that I can guarantee you has never been pissed on by a Russian prostitute. We get a proper cup of hot tea instead of the ice crap they serve over here. Most importantly, decent fish and chips. So I'm going to start a campaign in time for the next elections. And I got a perfect slogan for the bumper sticker. Elizabeth 2024. Make America Great Britain again. Now that's a golden oldie. I flogged that mercilessly around the time of the last presidential election, and I did it at a club up in McKinney, which is a north suburb, way north of Texas, and somebody left right after that joke, yelling that I was un-American, and I'm like, you know what, dude? I am un-American. I'm British, and always will be. But you know, I'm not really advocating for the hereditary monarchy, but I would like to see a little bit less drama. Okay. So being a father is great. I love it. I got to tell you that I do. But it's not all puppies and rainbows. As anybody here who's been a parent will tell you, there are some tough spots. And to my mind, the absolute worst thing about parenthood is having to listen to my child's really shitty music and pretend to enjoy it. Now, there are a lot of culprits out there in the preteen music space, but to my mind, none worse than a group called the Kids Bop Kids. The perpetrators of the most heinous crime against music since Hanson unbopped their way to the top of the charts. Now, if you don't have a prepubescent girl in your life, you may not have heard of these little assholes, but they're a collection of ridiculously chipper tweens who sing popular songs with all the adult words and concepts edited out. I'll give you an example. In the song TikTok, Kesha sings, "Before I leave, brush my teeth with a bottle of Jack, 'cause when I leave for the night, I ain't coming back." The Kids Bop Kids sing, "Before I leave, brush my teeth, make sure I reach the back. I got a sleepover tonight and I've got to pack." You are fooling no one, you little shits. Now, while there are a number of songs they do that aren't appropriate for their target audience, there are some places they won't go. There's no My Neck, My Back, Lick It by Kaya. There's no WAP. There's nothing at all by Lil' Kim. But kids, if you're going to go halfway on a concept, you've got to commit. I just don't think they're trying hard enough, so I had to go myself. Anyone here remember that wonderful ode to dubious consent, Blurred Lines by Robin Thicke? Yeah, I got a couple of nods. Well, I Kids Bopped it. I'm going to share a little bit of it with you. How about that? Everybody get up. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey. Come to my house for a play date. We'll get our Barbies out. It'll be great. Maybe we'll have pizza. Maybe a bagel bite. Maybe you can spend the night. Okay, now that was close. Thought I had to defecate there, but it was just a fart. Didn't need to fill my diaper. This rash is kind of itchy. Mom has to lubricate it. Hope I don't wet the bed. And that's why I'm going to be a good girl. Won't give mom no crap. Won't give mom no crap. Won't give mom no crap. A very good girl. No need for timeout or early bedtime. Room won't be messy. I color in the lines with my red crayon and my blue crayon and my green crayon. I'm a good girl. I'll even eat peas. Cover them with cheese, but only fake cheese. I'm a good girl. Catchy? Maybe I'll send it to the Kids Boppers. Or maybe I'll end it all if I've listened to tweens sing Uptown Funk again. Oh, man. All right. So what else has been on my mind? So being back home in England made me think of, my dear old mom. She's been gone a number of years, but she's always sort of like, she had a wicked sense of humor, the old girl did, and I think that's where I got it from. And I'm glad to be able to carry on the family tradition. I remember a story, my crusty old grandma didn't get along very well with my mom, and they always had this sort of rivalry. Anyway, she was very prim, very proper, wanted us to dress for dinner, behave ourselves. Anyway, my dad knocks over the salt cellar at dinner one time, and he says, "Oh, excrement." And my grandmother's, her lips purse, and she's like, "Martin, what'd you say that for?" And my mother just deadpans without even thinking because he doesn't like to say shit at the dinner table. And that kind of like summed up my mother. That was her. But one thing I was in particularly reminded of was, English houses are a little bit smaller than ours. A little bit smaller. Lot smaller, actually. They tend to have a unit, like the basic sort of unit of upper middle class housing is what they call very nobly semi-detached, which here we would call a duplex. And pretty small one at that. My bedrooms are like the size of the average closet in the United States. So you can hear everything and you get virtually no privacy. So I remember when I was a teenager one time, and I was into teenager things. And I thought that the coast was clear and I decided to get some alone time. So I went into my bedroom. I got the hand lotion out. I popped on my headphones, put a Bananarama tape in my Walkman and went to town. When I opened my eyes about 15, 20 minutes later, there was a steaming mug of tea and a plate of 2 cookies on the side of the bed, which my mother had left there without a word. So thank you, Mother. That was wonderful. All right. I'm going to go out on this. So I'm pretty much adjusted to American life now. I'm a citizen. I've lived here for 20 years. But when I first came here, I had a bit of culture shock. And the worst thing was like, there were some language barriers. Because although we both speak English, there are a lot of words in America that have different meanings. And this can cause some serious confusion. In America, the word fanny is slang for buttocks. In England, a fanny is a vagina. So you can imagine my confusion when my American friend said, gee, I went on a long bike ride yesterday. My fanny's still sore. How the hell were you sitting on the saddle, lady? Staying on the subject of genitals for a second, to the English, beavers aren't remotely sexual. In fact, the youngest Girl Scouts in England are called Beaver Scouts. Please, sir, would you like to buy some beaver cookies? Not really. Nope, I'll leave that one. In England, a rubber is used to erase pencil marks. Not here, which explains the strange response I got when, before a test in college, I told an American classmate that I didn't have a rubber and asked if she got a spare I could borrow. What? I said, I'm just trying to stop myself from making a mistake I'll pay for later. Well, I didn't get the rubber, and she sat on the other side of the room, and just as I feared, the need arose during the test, and I had to rub one out as best as I could. My favorite English dessert has a very strange name. To the English, a spotted dick is a delicious raisin cake. To Americans, a spotted dick is an excellent reason to call your doctor immediately. In either event, I highly recommend slathering it with cream. And this one's the worst. The American use of the word spunk makes me positively nauseous. In America, spunk means courage, determination, get up and go. In England, spunk is slang for semen. So I was horrified when my American friend told me that a 15-year-old daughter was full of spunk. Nice job, Chastity. Well, that's all I'm going to do for you tonight. Thank you, audience attendee, for sticking around. Thanks to the other comics. Thanks to Geo for the time. You've been fantastic. I've been David Parsons. Cheers.
Yeah, let's keep going for David. Woo. Thank you, David. I always enjoy your stuff.
Thank you,
It's
Geo.
good new stuff tonight, too. It was good.
Yeah.
I want to thank all the comics for coming. I will put this up on YouTube because my computer's down here. It won't be till I get back to Asheville, so it'll be a few days. If you want copies of your sets, let me know and I'll send those to you directly.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right.
Have a great one, y'all. It's been a great night. Thank you, Geo.
Thank you.
Thanks, George.